You all will remember cases where we used to have challenge when results used to be declared. Everyone used to go to one side and system used to generally crash. So then they came up with a decision to distribute it, and in a way that they use cloud technologies where what happens, the cloud service provider, the infrastructure provider gives you infrastructure on your demand for the period which you want, and the moment your job is over, you can just surrender that. That's the basic philosophy where you can take infrastructure on demand and make payments for that. You don't own it, someone else owns that. And there are some examples here like Azure Cloud of Microsoft, Google has, Amazon has, and the server rates or the infrastructure rates are very, very low compared to your own data center which you maintain. So as I was mentioning, you don't have to own the hardware, you just pay the rent of whatever services you use, whether infrastructure or development tools, or if you are using service like, simple example is email. There are lots of services. Large companies use something called SFDC, basically Salesforce.com. Now that's where the complete ordering system, their plans, everything is there, and one company, Salesforce.com, runs and maintains entire infrastructure. All large companies, they use that. So you can outsource your requirement to someone else, but then it comes with, before I get into the security and other aspects, let me distinguish between traditional computing, where you have at your own data center, and cloud computing, where someone else is taking care of. Consumption. In traditional computing, it's dedicated for you or for your organization. In case of cloud computing, the infrastructure is shared by all the users. Ease of use. Here, in case of traditional computing, you have to go for traditional hardware procurement. Suppose you need 10 extra servers, you have to follow the entire procurement process for getting the 10 servers. In this case, it's self-service. You should be ready to pay for that, and almost on demand you can get that. Scalability. In case of cloud computing, it's based on demand, you can scale it up, as if there is infinite elastic source available, which is not the case with traditional computing. Similarly, manual repair of system failure happens in case of traditional data centers, whereas in this case, the way it is designed, like for example, Microsoft's cloud, Azure, in every place they have, the data is kept in 3 data centers simultaneously. So even if one goes down, you have 2 places from where you can get that. So these data centers are at least 400 miles away, so that in case of a natural disaster, other one is not affected. Provisioning. As I explained earlier, in traditional computing, since you follow the entire procurement process, it takes long period of time, whereas in this case, it doesn't. And cost, here it is pay-per-use, and in case of traditional computing, it's incremental capex. Now, this ease of computing has led to a situation that all startup companies, small companies today, they are straightway going to the cloud. You need something for hosting your website, you are taking it from GoDaddy or whoever. You need to develop an application, you don't need to have your own data center, buy it from them. Not only infrastructure, also development tools. You want .NET, you want Joomla, whatever you are using, the free tools. You just take it from there, develop it, taste it in a real environment or real-like environment, which you don't do in your own data center. And that's the reason for high-scale adoptability of cloud, especially by small and medium sector. But it's also happened for large companies, and more than half of Fortune 500 companies are using cloud in some way or the other. So now, what is the definition if you see here? It's basically on-demand self-service, broad network access, and there is resource pooling. Keeping in view the kind of audience we have, I don't want to get into the details, but these are the basic features where the infrastructure is elastic. You can demand and you can get as much as you want, and payment is made on services you consume. So what are the service models? So there are basic 3 service models. One is where you are simply taking infrastructure, servers, and storage. The second one is platform. You want some development tools. Today what happens in government or in large organizations, we buy first infrastructure. We also buy development tools, write applications. A huge time is spent in that. That can be cut by going to cloud where these are readily available, and whatever infrastructure you want, whatever operating system you want, whatever tools you want, all that, those are available. You use them, you return it back, you are charged only for the time you have used it. So what are the deployment models? Now you will say that if the entire data is shared, how secure is my data in the cloud? So from that perspective, the governments, or especially data related to personal data, health data, these are some of the data which cannot be just kept like that. So there are standards for that only if the cloud complies with certain certifications like ISO 27001, HIPAA compliant, this credit card payment compliant, and all that, they will keep such information in public cloud. Otherwise, they will create their own cloud. So you have, if infrastructure is, the cloud is created for your own use or your own institution's use, it's private cloud. Like NIC has created a national cloud, which is private cloud of NIC. On the other hand, Microsoft Azure cloud, Google's cloud, or Amazon cloud, that is public cloud. And there is a third model which is in between, which is hybrid cloud, where you have features of both. And there is another definition of community cloud. Suppose DIT today allows clouds for various departments, but all of them are ultimately government controlled and government owned. So that's the government community cloud. So these are very basic definition from service model and from deployment model. So as I explained, in case of service, what is called service, software as a service applications are used by the end consumer, whether it is for email service or for variety of such services are available, and many of us are consuming those services. Platform as a service, which is used largely by the developers, and infrastructure as a service, which is used by the system administrator. Okay. Cost control. So basically, it reduces your cost, reduces your risk of hardware failure, improves your business agility because you don't need to give or pay any attention to that. That's being taken care of by someone else. You get whatever you want at whatever scale you want. However, let me just show you how it works. So suppose there is a cloud computing, there is a service provider. You take an account, so you set up your account, and that setting up is so simple, you can use your credit card to do that. And it's almost like prepaid telephone service. You pay first, you keep on consuming till it comes to a small amount, and you are asked to recharge that. It's as simple as that. Then, once you have set up your account, you choose your operating system, whether you want to work on Windows or you want to work on Linux. Once you have done that, then you want whatever tool you want to develop right on top of that and start working on. So in a matter of few hours, you can set up and start working, and just compare with the current scenario where it takes months to get the infrastructure and make it operational. What are the challenges, especially for government departments? How do I pick up a cloud service provider? Which one do I choose? And what kind of certification the cloud service provider should have? Can I put my data on the cloud? That's the first question which government departments ask. How do I know whether this data can be put there or not? And if it should go to private cloud or public cloud? What happens to my data when I close my operations? What will happen to that data which I had stored there? Have you ever thought that all your emails, if you disconnect or close your account, what happens to your emails or the personal data which you have kept in the cloud? Any idea?
Goes to draft.
Pardon me?
That data goes to draft.
Stored at server.
But someone else can use that?
No.
So let me clarify that. There are two kinds of, if it is free service, nothing is given free in this world. Right? When you do a search, you must have noticed that whatever you have searched earlier, or wherever the website which you go, information related to that only comes to your right hand side. How does the system know that?
Keep it track of it.
Yes. So when we get something free like email, we also give in return right of, or rather that organization to go through our emails, go through all our searches, use the cookies and keep this information, and that is how the largest search engine, which is the largest search engine? They earn $58 billion. $55 billion was from search mechanism. I mean all the advertisements which come there. So that is what happens. So I thought this is a very important question. Yeah, I'm just going to end. And then how do I keep others from logging security aspects? And can I work when the internet connectivity goes down? Some case studies. In fact, the cloud services have been made so secure that now tax departments, like this is Internal Revenue Service of Mexico, their entire portal is on cloud, public cloud. In case, in Japanese government went for cloud-based services after their earthquake, because that doesn't get disturbed. Even if that server in Japan gets disturbed, the data is also copied somewhere else and they can immediately start working on that. So what happens here, if you see this graph, if you look at, is it visible? Yes. So if the control is lower, the price is lower. Your control on data, which means you are on cloud. If the control is higher, the data remains with you, but then you have to pay higher cost. So it's always between what control you want and what price you have to pay for that. London Olympics, they wanted to broadcast live, and the only way out was to go for cloud-based service delivery, where they were delivering entire thing live, HD, video on demand for millions of subscribers. So these are the slides, basically how easy it is to set up your account and make payment and become operational from there onwards. Simple example is, for getting power in our house, do we set up our own diesel set? No. We depend on someone else to do that. It's almost like that. And tomorrow, if Mr. Gaurav Dwivedi and others from DIT, they can have similar kind of like services. Whether it is Sarthi, Vahan, GST, could be provided by one agency to all government departments. What I have done, I have simply replaced NTPC, NHPC by these, just to show that this is a concept which can be implemented in a cloud-based environment. So that's all I have to share in this short period of time. Sorry, I exceeded my time limit.
It's a big topic. I think one session full is required for cloud. But then we have to push in 3 topics. So, Mr. Krishna will be now.
Good afternoon to all of you. I'll just talk about what are the emerging cyber threats and cyber crimes which are happening in the country as we look at it from the legal point of view, from the technical point of view, as well as what are the challenges involved. And of course, with the theme of this national workshop, what is the capacity building initiative which is required, at least for the capacity building. I'll just share briefly some of the things. Before I go into this, okay, today, if you see today what we have is new devices. Most of them are smartphones. I'm sure 90% of the population here in this hall must be having smartphones only. And also what we have today, new applications like what my previous speaker talked about, like Facebook, which was not there 5 years back or 6 years back. But today we have Facebook, we have Twitter, we have other things which started from Orkut, YouTube, and other things. And in fact, just before coming here, I got a very urgent mail from Tripura Chief Minister's office saying that his Facebook profile has been hacked, and immediately blocked the things. And today, like that, I get at least 15 calls like that. Okay, this is the problem we have with respect to blocking